Everyone, this is Infernal Shard 1 for the win. So, I have been wanting to do a live stream video like this for quite a while, and I just haven't had all that much time to do one. And now I decided that, now it's kind of like a perfect time to make a video make a good video of a live stream like this. So, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit a like if you guys are new. And if you enjoy this video, at the end, send me down in the comment section down below. So, there has been a lot of talks about PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, which are the first mid-gen upgrades from Microsoft and Sony themselves. And also, the same thing was also happening with the original base models of the Xbox One and the PS4. The base models launched back in November of 2013. All the thing different about it is that the Xbox One released just a week after the PlayStation 4 launched. And there's been so many arguments and so much, hate going all over the place about how, like, the PlayStation 4 could do, like, 1080p and it was like the best console, which personally I honestly would rather agree more with everyone, because honestly the PlayStation 4 actually did hell of the best job when the consoles launched. Now, when we got the upgraded systems, the Pro and the X, now it's the other way around. So it's like the Xbox One X is actually the most powerful console right now, because if you own a 4K television, you'll get 4K resolution on all of your games, most of your games upscale, and then there's even some games that'll be native 4K, and the same thing goes for the Pro, but there's just not as many as games that work as native 4K on the Pro as they would for the Xbox One X. Now, the thing that really, really pisses me off is that there has been a lot of people that have, dished out the PlayStation 4 Pro because it can't do, like, the true native 4K like the One X can, this and that. I mean, don't get me wrong that the Xbox One X is really good of a very powerful console, but the PlayStation 4 Pro, to be really and honestly, in my opinion, I still think that it's a fabulous system that Sony made. I mean, PlayStation 4, if you look at the charts for this generation, the PlayStation 4 is actually winning by far. Like, in sale numbers, like Xbox One have only sold probably around 42, 43, somewhere around there million units. The PlayStation 4 just got its number just the other day from Sony, checking their numbers, and PlayStation 4 has actually sold 86.1 million consoles worldwide. And the reason why the PlayStation 4 is winning this generation is because, for one, it had the best powerful, hardware at the start, and more exclusives keep coming, unlike Microsoft that's not making that many exclusives. Like, we got, like, over the last couple of years, we have gotten Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, which is the three first Uncharted games that were released on the PlayStation 3 that they redid. And then we also got two awesome exclusives that have sold. God of War came out just this past April, and then a month and a half ago, we actually got the Marvel Spider-Man, and these two games are the last two most sold PlayStation 4 exclusives ever. When God of War first launched, it was the most popular sold game for the month that it released in, and then now the Marvel Spider-Man came out in September of this year, and now it even sold like at least 5% more than what God of War sold, and it was also the best-selling game for its month that it came out. So, yeah, Sony keeps bringing exclusives, and that's one of the reasons of why that, like, Sony is, like, dominating this generation, and I have a good feeling that next gen, they will continue to dominate, but that could possibly change because if you remember back in the PS3 days, when the PS3 and the 360 first launched, the 360 came out a year early, and when the PlayStation 3 got delayed and it came out a year later, Sony had the price so high that, like, you know, it was so high that people couldn't even buy the system, and it screwed them over. But the good news is about the PlayStation 3 is that over the years after it was a system, it managed to catch up to 360's number, and it's just a slightly past 360's number. And speaking of PlayStation 3 sales, the 86.1 million units that the PlayStation 4 has sold has actually passed PlayStation 3's number. So Sony has sold more PlayStation 4s than PlayStation 3s. But honestly, I really still like the PlayStation 3, and it's still a very good system in my honestly opinion. But yeah, it really pisses me off that, all these people, they want to say like how PlayStation 4 Pro can't do like true 4K, this and that. And it's like, like I really like the Xbox One X, and Microsoft is doing a very, very good job because when they first released the Xbox One, games were only running at like 720 to 900p, and there were just a various few here and there that would make it up to full HD 1080p. While you have on the PlayStation 4 console, every single game that has launched since the console launched from today all the way back to when the PS4 launched, every single game that plays on the PlayStation 4 plays at full 100% native 1080p. And then so 3 years later is when Sony released the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it came out on November 10th of 2016. And it will upscale your graphics of your resolution from 1080p to 4K resolution, but the textures and like all that stuff of the main resolution on the graphics in the game is actually at like whatever that they have for. Like, say for instance, like Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, Marvel Spider-Man, and quite a few other games. I think God of War also is another one. It plays not at full 1080p, but also not at full 4K resolution, but it plays at 1440p as long as you have a 4K television. So, and that's another thing of what really makes me mad is that people still think that that's not good enough. And really, to be truthful with you, graphics doesn't really matter all that difference, and especially resolution doesn't. I mean, they do matter in a way, but resolution doesn't matter all that much. Because if you think about it, 1440p is still more sharper than 1080p. I mean, that's like almost 400 more pixels added to a game. I mean, like I was saying, there is some games that will offer native 4K on the PlayStation 4 Pro, such as Skyrim, the Special Edition does, The Witcher 3 does, and there's also a couple other games. But then you got also games that don't run at native 4K on the Pro, such as Call of Duty World War II, but it still looks better on the Pro than it does on the standard PS4. Just like I said, as long as you have a 4K television, you will see that extra detail and resolution boost than you would on the base PS4. But honestly, the base PS4, even at 1080p that it plays every single game at, you got to still admit that that is still pretty good for a system, and graphics like I was saying. I know I said graphics don't really make games really that better, but you still got to be thankful for the graphics, even especially working on last generation, still looked very, very good. And those were the first game systems that were supporting HD gaming. So if you had like an HD television, or you might have been lucky and you might had a 4K television at the time, even though 4K has only been out for like 3 to 4 years, and now we're actually seeing 8K TVs that we just had one that just like launched a few days ago, and you like the PS3 and the Xbox 360, as long as you had an HD TV and you had an HD cord, you could, boost your resolution up from AV, which is like SD, and then it'll go up to HD, and you would see better and clarity on graphics. Now, with the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, these are the first consoles to do 4K gaming. So, like I was saying, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and hell, even the original Wii, were the very first consoles to support HD gaming. And now, with the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, again, this is the first consoles that are supporting 4K gaming. And now, probably after like next generation hits, and if they do, are to make another mid-gen upgrade for the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox like 2 or whatever that Microsoft is calling the next gen Xbox, you you will honestly, there's a possibility that there might actually be another mid-gen upgrade for the next generation of consoles. And if that ends up happening, it possibly may be an 8K upgrade, just like we had the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X as 4K upgrades. Well, if they do continue to do that with next generation of consoles, it might actually be an 8K upgrade. So it'll be very, very awesome to see if it even happens. But yeah, and people still need to be thankful for what the Xbox One base model offers, and still even the same thing with the base model PlayStation 4. The upgrade systems of the Pro and the X are just awesome, upgrades to have. They're not physically something that, we should all it's not like something like the companies are just going to be like, this is what we're going to have, and this is all you're going to buy now. We're going to shut down servers for the original systems. Like they're not going to do nothing like that. But it's just nice to have. And this game for Resistant that you're seeing on the gameplay is the new Red Dead Redemption 2. It just released about a week ago, and honestly, even playing on this on the Xbox One X, it is the best version of all. But playing it on the base Xbox One is not, it's like the worst version, but the graphics and the game itself, it literally still looks very, very gorgeous. And I mean, all of that detail that you're seeing is still very good on the base Xbox One, as the least powerful hardware. So, in the video that you're seeing that I'm playing on is 720p on the base model PlayStation 4, because the base model PlayStation 4 can only record live streams and game clips only at 720p at the highest, and then the PlayStation 4 Pro can do 1080p at the highest. But what doesn't surprise me is that it doesn't do 4K, but the Xbox One X can record your game clips at 4K, but not, the PS4 Pro basically can, is what I meant to say. But honestly, even though it does 1080p, like I'm saying, it's still very, very good to play games like this that just launched and all that stuff. And everybody's talking about when next generation of consoles is going to launch, and they're expecting to launch around next year or possibly late 2020. What I honestly think is that Sony is going to release the PlayStation 5 next fall, and then probably Microsoft will release the Xbox 2 or the Xbox One 5000 or whatever that they're going to call the next gen Xbox, probably in late 2020. But there is also a possibility that the PlayStation 5 might actually get a delay, and it may come out in spring 2020, because that's when the PlayStation 3 launched back in Japan. It was around, I believe it came out in April of 2006, but in North America, the PlayStation 3 launched on like November of 2006. So it wouldn't surprise me if Sony actually, got a delay and they had to release it like later down the line in like early 2020, or hell, it may even be around the same time as Microsoft released their next gen systems, probably in late 2020. But the latest I can see PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2 launch is probably holiday 2021. Because, I mean, Sony is like literally still selling like PlayStation 4s left and right, and Microsoft has been, selling quite a bit of Xbox One X's lately, and Nintendo has been selling quite a bit of Nintendo Switches, especially since it launched a year and a half ago. And Nintendo Switch is like considered the fastest selling console of all time. But yeah, honestly, like I just like really really hate how everybody, talks about how the PlayStation 4 Pro is just not as powerful or capable like the Xbox One X. Like, I am so thankful for what Sony has done for the PlayStation 4 Pro. And I even still, like I said, I still love the base model PlayStation 4 because it still plays games at native 1080p, and most gamers out there probably only own, like I'm saying, like a 1080p screen. Like, there's not that many gamers out there that own a 4K television like I do, and probably a few of you that are watching the live stream. But that's still okay because, I mean, you could keep the full HD TV, because I don't think that like the next generation of consoles are going to like force you to buy a 4K television, although they possibly might. It may be so much like out of date, and they might be making newer like HDMI cords or something like that, and it may not work like with your 1080p TV, because the HDMI is like so powerful that it does like 4K or even higher, because Microsoft did actually say that there is actually an HDMI 2.0 cord or something like that coming out the end of this year or sometime next year, and it will boost up resolutions all the way up to 10K. Even though we do not have 10K TVs or anything like that, and 8K TVs just launched a few days ago. So 4K is probably going to stay as the main like resolution for quite a while, and I don't think that like it's going to switch or change anytime soon, because like I'm saying, like there's not that very many people that own like a 4K television, like a few of us that do, and most people own is like a 720, mostly a 1080p TV, and that's pretty much all they're going to like, use. They're not going to buy all these TVs and stuff like that, like all these, game companies, TV companies like LG, Samsung, and Sony. Like, they're just not going to keep buying all these TVs like all these people want them to do. I mean, I personally have like three 4K televisions in my apartment, and I have a LG, which is my biggest one that I have, and it's a 55 inch. I also have a Vizio 50 inch in my bedroom, and it's also 4K. And then I also have an extra spare 4K 43 inch, which is a Sharp. And I'm set on TVs for a while, and I have friends that come over, and like, they bring their like system and something over, and that's why I got those extra TVs for them to play on and stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys are PlayStation 4 Pro owners and you are so thankful for the PlayStation 4 Pro for what it's worth, just send me down in the comment section down below. And also make sure you guys hit a like for this live stream, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys are new, and we're not completely finished yet. But honestly, the reason why I really like the PlayStation 4 the most for this generation is mainly because like I'm saying, it can do 1080p on mostly every single game that has launched for the system, that's one of the main reasons why I honestly like the PlayStation 4, is because it will do 1080p on every single game pretty much. The controllers are the most comfortable ones. The Xbox ones are so like bulky, like they're just not that comfortable. And like PlayStation 4 has all these awesome features of like what I'm doing right now, like live streaming and like recording like a game and somewhat. And that is like mainly of all the reasons that I like the PlayStation 4. So, but PlayStation 4 Pro, like I was saying, it still can do games that like native 4K and stuff even higher, but it just, it just comes to my mind that like everybody just like thinks just because of how the Xbox One X is the most powerful console of all time, which truthfully, like I said, it really, really is. It's just, you need to be thankful for what the PlayStation 4 Pro still has to offer. It still does better performance. It still does much higher resolution than what the standard version technically does. You still get, a graphics, textures, and boost may not be quite as much. It might only be like half as good as the Xbox One X, but you still get a boost in like resolution, frame rate, performance, and games like loading faster. Like you still get a boost in performance and graphics engine on the Pro than what you do on the base PS4. You still get that boost. And better yet, there is one thing that the PlayStation 4 Pro has that of course, the Xbox One X doesn't have, that will fix older games of their frame rate to make it to where it'll stay locked at what the frame rate was supposed to be locked at. Like Grand Theft Auto 5, for example, is still only 30 frames per second on console, while it's 60 frames per second on PC. Well, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, GTA 5, like dies down in frame rate a little bit down to like the lower 20s from 30 frames per second. But if you have the PS4 Pro and you enable boost mode in the settings, the frame rate will stay basically locked at a 30 frames per second. Now, that's just because that the PlayStation 4 Pro is not as powerful as the Xbox One X. So if you were to play GTA 5 on the Xbox One X, you don't have to turn on an option like that, like called boost mode that the Pro has. It is so much powerful that it keeps the game locked at 30 frames per second. So really, to be honest with you, they're really both really even systems, to be honest. I like the Xbox One X technically is probably the best console for the best graphics, but performance wise it's not all that different, and graphics wise they're not like that far from different from the Xbox One X playing at like 1440p or 1620p that Far Cry 5 runs on, and it playing at native 4K on the PS or on the Xbox One X, not the PS4 Pro. Like there's really not all of that difference from the two systems. You still get upscale 4K resolution on no matter what system you're on, just as long as you have a 4K television. And the performance, like if you enable boost mode, the performance will fix for a lot of the very first older PlayStation 4 games, but on the Xbox One X, it like won't, the Xbox One X, like it has so much power that it will keep the older games at a locked whatever frames per second that they are. Now, it still doesn't fix frame rate. There is still so much frame rate issues on the Xbox One X, even though it's the most powerful system and it can do games at 60 frames per second, such as Forza Motorsport 7 and also Gears of War 4. I'm pretty sure those are the only two games that the Xbox One X can do true 4K with 60 frames per second, and I'm pretty sure it's only those two games. Most of the all the other games, like this game for example, also games like um, The Witcher 3 and Halo: The Master Chief Collection, all of those games that are native 4K on the Xbox One X have to be down to 30 frames per second. Even Rise of the Tomb Raider has to be, and even the newest Tomb Raider that just released about almost 2 months ago, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it also has to stay down at 30 frames per second if you want the best in like graphics and all that stuff. So, yeah, but anyway, guys, that pretty much does the live stream. I just wanted to go and make this as a really, really nice live stream video for all you. If you guys are new, hit a like. If you could, please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you enjoyed the video. And also comment down below of your thoughts about the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. And if you really still like the PlayStation 4 Pro for what it's worth and all that stuff. So just rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So I will catch y'all later. Peace out, everyone.